So now let us understand about what is oligopoly and all the features of oligopoly. Oligopoly is an important form of imperfect competition. Oligopoly prevails where when there are few firms or sellers in the market producing or selling a product. In this case, we find a small number of big firms whose products may or may not be differentiated. Oligopoly is defined as the market structure in which there are a few sellers of the homogeneous or differentiated products who intensely compete against each other and recognize interdependence in their decision making. Oligopoly is often referred as competition among the few. The oligopoly model fits well into such industries as automobile manufacturing or of electrical appliances, tires, computers, air conditioners, aluminium, etc. When the products of the few sellers are homogeneous, it is called pure oligopoly. And when the products of few sellers of the firm are differentiated and close substitutes of each other, they are differentiated oligopoly. It's said to prevail. What is oligopoly? Firstly, oligopoly means where there are a few firms in the market who are producing the same product or a differentiated product. So the oligopoly is a market structure in which there are a few sellers of the homogeneous or differentiated products who intensely compete with each other and recognize interdependence in their decision making. Oligopoly is often referred as competition among the few. And now when few sellers are selling homogeneous, that is same products, it is pure oligopoly. Then when the products of the few sellers of the firm are differentiated and are close substitutes of each other, differentiated oligopoly is said to prevail. Characteristics: few sellers. There are few sellers in the market selling either homogeneous or differentiated products. Each seller has sizable influence on the market. Every firm possesses a large degree of monopoly power when the products are differentiated and accounts for a large part of the market's total demand. It uses all resources at its disposal to counter the actions of rival firms to ensure survival and growth in the market. Thus, each firm acts as a strategic competitor. Interdependence. The most important feature of oligopoly is the interdependence in decision making of a few firms which comprise the industry. This is because when the number of competitors is few, any change in the price, output, product, etc. by a firm will have a will have a direct effect on the fortune of its rival, which will then retaliate in changing their own prices, output or products as the case may be. It is therefore clear that the oligopolistic firm may consider not only the market demand for the industry's product but also the reaction of the other firms of the industry to any action or decision it may take. Since more than one reaction pattern is possible from the other firms, it is necessary that some assumptions about the reactions of the others is made before a definite and determinate solution of price output fixation is provided under oligopoly. Suppose a firm starts a massive advertising campaign or designs a new model of his product which captures the market. This policy change on the part of the firm will have obvious and immediate effects on its competitors. The competitors are likely to react with the counter policies to avoid drifting of its customers to other firms. Now, the former firm may have to react. This process of action-reaction of the firms may continue in an unending phase of uncertainty. Importance of advertising and selling costs. With high cross-elasticity of demand for the product under oligopoly, the oligopolistic can rise his sales through non-price competition, either by advertising his product or by improving its quality. Both these tools shift the demand in favor of the product and increase the market share of an oligopolistic firm. A direct effect of interdependence of oligopolies is the various firms have to employ various aggressive and defensive marketing weapons to gain a greater share in the market or to prevent a falling share. For this, various firms have to incur a good deal of costs on advertising and on other measures of sales promotion. Therefore, there is a great importance of advertising and selling costs under conditions of market situation characterized by oligopoly. According to W.J. Bonwell, it is only under oligopoly that advertising comes fully into its own. Under oligopoly, advertising can become a life and death matter, where a firm which fails to keep up the advertising budget of its competitors may find its customers drifting off to rival products. In the view of the fact that a firm in an oligopolistic industry competes by changing the advertisement costs, the quality of the product, prices, output, etc. The presence of competitive conditions in it can hardly be derived. Group behavior. Another important feature of oligopoly is that for its proper solution, analysis of group behavior is important. That is, whether the firms will cooperate to promote common objective or compete against each other. There is no generally accepted theory of group behavior. Unlike the market forms, the behavior of a firm is unpredictable under oligopoly due to various reasons. First, the firms constituting the group may not have a common objective. Secondly, the firms may enter into formal or informal collusion to achieve the profit maximization goal by avoiding uncertainty and ruinous rivalry. Finally, the group may be dominated by a leader. Indeterminateness of the demand facing an oligopolistic. No firm under oligopoly faces a determinate demand curve on account of interdependence and uncertainty. The element of interdependence of firms has made the systematic analysis of oligopoly very difficult. The mutual interdependence also makes predictions and hence an optimal decision is very difficult due to the atmosphere of uncertainty. No firm under oligopoly is in a position to visualize the consequences of its price output policy with any degree of accuracy. There is high degree of uncertainty regarding which variable or combination of variables the rival firm will use in its reaction pattern in response to change in price, product variation and selling activities by the firm first. The wide variety of behavior pattern becomes possible. Two conflicting attitudes on the part of the firms operate in the market. Sometimes the firms realize the advantages of mutual competition and tend to collude to maximize their joint profits. At the other times, the desire of each firm to earn maximum profits may reflect conflicts among firms. Indeterminateness of demand curve facing an oligopolist is an important feature of oligopoly. The demand curve shows what amount of its product or firm will be able to sell at various prices. Under oligopoly, a firm cannot assume that its rivals will keep their prices unchanged. When it makes changes in its own price as a result of this, the demand curve facing an oligopolistic firm loses its definiteness and determinateness. Uh, since it goes on constantly shifting as the rivals change their prices in reaction to the price change by a firm. Price rigidity. In an oligopolistic market, each firm sticks to their own price. This is because it is in constant fear of retaliation from the rivals if it reduces the price. Therefore, resorts to advertisement, competition, then price cut. Hence, there is a price rigidity in an oligopolistic market. The king to demand curve. According to Paul Sweezy, firms in an oligopolistic market face a faced a nicked demand curve or a nicked average revenue curve. In a sense, there is no revenue function for an oligopolist at all. The amount he sells depends on the prices which are charged by other producers, and unless these can be specified in advance, he cannot know what the demand for his product will be. The Kinkade demand curve produces a simple way of conceiving an average revenue for an oligopolist, which in turn helps us to understand oligopricing problems. So, a naked demand curve has been illustrated how the product and price output changes the price of the product. In figure 3.8, the naked the demand curve or average curve is made of two segments. The relatively elastic demand curve decay, where the demand curve is flatter, and the relatively inelastic demand curve where the demand curve is steep. Corresponding to the given price OP, there is a kink at the point K on the demand curve DD. The kink implies an abrupt change in the slope of the demand curve. The kink leads to indeterminateness of the course of demand for the product of their seller concerned. Thus, thinks it worthwhile to follow the prevailing prices and not to make any change in it. This is because if he raises the price, none of his competitors follow, because they feel they have that a higher price would give too low the level of sales. Since the firms are producing very similar products, a small increase in the price of the seller's products therefore lead to a very large fall in its sales. Demand is very elastic above king of if one firm alone increases its prices more, there is a fear of losing buyers to the rivals who do not raise their prices. On the other hand, if he lowers the price, it would lead to an immediate retaliation from the rivals, who will also cut their prices to the same extent. The rivals feel that while it may be unprofitable to cut prices, the danger that they will lose market share if they do not do so is too great for them to be able to allow our seller's price cut to go unmatched. This result is that our seller will not expect much rise in his sales with price reduction. The demand curve below is less elastic if one firm reduces its price. Patterns of behavior in an oligopolistic market. Price leadership. A traditional leader in oligopoly market announces price changes from time to time, which other competitors follow. The dominant firm may assume the price leadership. There is barometric price leadership. When a smaller firm tries out a new price, which may or may not be recognized by the larger firms, the price leadership of a firm depends on a number of factors such as dominance in the market, initiative, aggressive pricing, and reputation. Price wars. Under cutthroat competition among the rivals, price wars may emerge as an oligopolistic market under price wars. Firms tend to change prices even below their variable cost. Price wars are never planned. They occur as a consequence when one firm cuts the prices and other following suit. Price cuts to weed out competition. A financially strong firm may deliberately resort to price cuts to eliminate competitors from the market and secure its position. Collusion, business syndicates, or trusts may be formed by the competing firms, and they may argue to charge a uniform price, thereby to eliminate price retaliation or price cut competition. So these are certain patterns of behavior in the oligopolistic market. Such business collusions implies conversion of an oligopoly into a monopoly. Business collusion is considered illegal under antitrust laws. Secret price concessions. Sometimes oligopolists may offer secret price concessions for selected buyers instead of having an open price cut, which is likely to be retaliated by their rivals. Non-price competition. Owing to a danger of retaliation in a price cut competition, the oligopolist may also resort to non-price competition by competing in sales promotion efforts, advertising, product improvement, etc. Here too, the rivals retaliate. So this was about oligopoly, which we have tried to understand about how in the oligopoly the market operates. There is product differentiation, or there may be product differentiation, or there are similar products, and price is an important factor in oligopoly. Now let us start with duopoly. So far we have discussed market structures in which there were very large number of sellers as in perfect competition. A single seller or a single group of individuals who dominate the entire market as in monopoly, and many sellers but not as many in perfect competition, competing with each other as in a monopolistic competition, few sellers competing with each other as in oligopoly. The simplest analytical form of oligopoly is duopoly, when there are two monopolists instead of one who share the monopoly power. It is called duopoly. This is also a special form of oligopoly because from the point of view of the price theory, the nature of problem is the same whether there are two or few sellers. There are three classical duopoly models given by Carnot, A. Carnot, French economist, 1838, Edgeworth and Chamberlain. These models employ simplified assumptions about interdependence of decision making between the two firms. The first two models are drastically simplified by assuming that in deciding his price output policy, one duopolist does not take into consideration the possible reactions which his rival may have to his actions. This assumption of ignoring completely the mutual interdependence of two rivals has been called zero conjectural variation. Chamberlain, however, has not ignored this problem. Duopoly are of two types: duopoly without product differentiation and duopoly with product differentiation. Duopoly with product differentiation. Under duopoly, the simplest cases will be those where the two monopolists are supposed to be selling an identical commodity and there is no product differentiation. It is very likely that there will be collusion between the two. They may agree on the price or assign quotas or divide the territory in which each is to market his goods. This is possible if their respective cost curves least uh, are at least nearly identical, or if the demand is stable and less elastic. This collusion creates conditions almost similar to that of monopoly, and the price determination will be similar to that under monopoly. However, in case there is no agreement between the two, a constant price war will occur. In this case, the important factors to be considered are the cost and gains in driving out the rivals, the relative sizes of the two firms, the demand elasticity and mobility of the purchasers, the promptness with which the rivals react to changes in the other's policy, and the extent to which price concession can be kept secret, so on. When there is no product differentiation and goods are identical, the consumers are indifferent between the two producers, and the same price must be charged by both in the long run. Otherwise, the one charging more will be wiped out of the market. They must fix a price as if they were a single monopolist rolled in one. Only then they will be able to maximize profits. In case there is a price war between them, they will be able to earn only normal profits as under perfect competition. If costs are different, the one with lower costs will wipe out the other, and a single monopoly would be established. The best course for the duopolist will be to fix the monopoly price and share the market and profits. It is possible that in the short run duopoly price may be lower than the competitive price. None of the producers earning normal profits in the long run. This price may be somewhere between the monopoly price and the competitive price. Duopoly with product differentiation. When there is product differentiation, each product has his own clientele and goodwill. There is no fear of immediate retaliatory measures, measures by the rivals. If one producer changes his price output policy, there is less danger of price war. There will be no agreement between them. Single products are not similar. The firm with better products can earn supernormal profits. So this was about duopoly with product differentiation and without product differentiation. With product differentiation, the price and the competition will not be affected much, but with the product the similar products, the price, the market competition will be different and situations will be different. Comparison of perfect and imperfect competition. We have already discussed earlier how a monopoly fire firm generates excess capacity and have seen that perfect competition ensures the most efficient allocation of resources. Let us extend that discussion to monopolistic competition by making a comparative evaluation of allocation of resources by monopolistic competition and a perfect competition and monopoly. Figure 3.19 compares long-run equilibrium of three firms and the first under perfect, the second under monopolistic competition and the third under monopoly. All the firms are in a state of equilibrium and are earning normal profits. The firm under perfect competition faces a horizontal demand curve DC and produces an output QC at price PC. The monopolistically competitive firm faces a downward sloping demand curve DMC. It produces an output QMC less than QC at price PMC more than PC. The monopolist firm also faces a downward sloping curve DM which is less elastic than DMC and produces an output QM less than QC and QMC at price PM. More than PC and PMC, we can thus infer that a monopolistically competitive firm produces or sells lesser at higher prices as compared to a firm operating under perfect competition, and under a monopoly firm produces and sells less than both firms under monopolistic and perfect competition. The difference in output shown as QC minus QM and also QC minus QMC is known as excess capacity. A firm under monopoly or monopolistic competition would produce at a level of output where AC and its demand curve are still declining, that is to the left of point EM and EMC. Thus, it produces with excess capacity. In fact, no firm either in monopolistic competition or in monopoly would operate at the minimum point of its AC curve. Now, each firm's demand curve is downward sloping. As such, it is tangent to the AC curve at some point above the minimum point of AC curve. In other words, a monopolist as well as a monopolistically competitive firm operate at less than optimum output and charge at a higher price. It is for this reason that many economists consider a monopolistically competitive firm to be inefficient and exclude monopoly practices from good economies. However, we should also remember that due to the presence of a large number of substitutes, the demand of a monopolistic competitive firm is highly elastic. As such, the price differentiation, monopolistic competition and perfect competition may not be appreciable. Moreover, consumers get a wide variety of competing brands to choose from, unlike perfect competition in which the product is homogeneous. Thus, the loss is welfare due to higher price and lower output in is counterbalanced by a gain in satisfaction due to a wider choices. However, none of these arguments are valid in this case of monopoly. Hence, all regulatory authorities make regulations to check and prevent monopoly practices. So, this was about under imperfect market conditions, how monopoly, oligopoly, duopoly, perfect competition, imperfect competition operates in the markets. So with this we come to the end of the third chapter.